Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It's Shirley with Spirit of Matter. And I'm in a new episode in the series Treat My Toenail Fungi with Me, which means I'm not going to post any visuals, so I'm not going to gross you out. It's just me putting some essential oils and seeing what comes up. Basically, it's actually how you do holistic treatment as well, because when you treat a physical thing, you pay attention to the thoughts and things that come about. So let's first recap how has my day been, because I met a very fascinating person today, American person, and apparently he's Jew and uh, had family associated with Masons. So he was targeted individual. He was suffering from health courses, kidney stones and all stuff like that. Um, so I had a very interesting conversation, and it's funny because he didn't even know about what MK Ultra is, um, and that was just so humbling for me to see an American dealing with that. And I think a lot about Americans because the way, as Israeli, the way I experience what now when MK Ultra is here, like more with more people, because it's been here for a while and people still went through ritual abuse and were very secluded, then I just see it as um, a humbling experience, because this shit is dumb fuckery through and through. Like, if that's what you Americans been dealing with your government, I just, I know I come from Israel and it's not like we don't have problems. It's not from this place I say it, it's just like I'm humbled. So I put the patchouli oil and yeah, starting with that. I like to smell it. There was a lot of emotional support today, I noticed, because I went through a not easy day. It's just something was coming up, not from today actually, but something was coming up. And another thing I began to see is where in groups of post-traumatic people begin to be aware of that, what they call spiritual warfare. They also feel like electric shocks from afar. So I just want to put it out there. If you experience such things, you're not psychotic, you're not imagining. There's a military operation called the MK Ultra. Wherever you're listening, it can be in your region as well, and on United States it is. Um, I don't know about like Netherlands. I know we have a lot of like clones and stuff, but wherever you are, you might feel this and you don't know what it is. So this is what it is. And listen to satanic ritual abuse survivors, but I think here the emphasis is that it's done from afar. So some of you that may be even afraid to talk about these things, they call it spiritual warfare. Now I understand what it is because I heard people talking about this and I had no idea. Okay. I like the patchouli oil, it's cozy, it's calming. I felt sense of community today. And I think Aquarius is a lot about sense of community. Um, and even I felt a sense of community of a people that's suffering with this right now. um, a sense of understanding, going from the personal to the collective. And it brings back astrological teaching that I actually learned from Lada Duncheva when she was going through Pluto in her 12th house. Now it's my turn, the Pisces ascendant turn. And she said, help other people in the situation. Now, with Aquarius, is even one step further. Try to see if you can treat that as non-linear, chaotic, non-dynamic, non-linear dynamic system, which means you are dealing with an algorithm. This is what astrology is fantastic about, especially when you think about relational stuff. It's more of an engineering point of view. And I think it's compatible also and inclusive both to MK Ultra, which is like American West, but also very Dutch, and unfortunately very Israeli now. And I guess way before. Okay. And also Chinese, because Chinese, they used ESP. They saw the medicine like engineering. A lot of the courses that you see from Masons are based on Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, because they see the body as an engineering system. ESP in China was used to diagnose diseases. So it was medical. What I know, of course, probably more. I really understood that, first of all, because the people that were cloned and the people that were born in cults, they go through even worse things than what we're going through right now, and have been all their life, and starting from womb, and the sense of collective is very strong. I'm not saying about these people, I'm saying from my experience, the sense of collective is very strong. I think in general, when you have transits to the 12th house, you may have strongest sense of collective, and especially with an outer planet, and that can somehow remediate, create a sense of togetherness in an experience where perhaps wasn't there before. And if I think about this, where Saturn was in the middle of Aquarius, I was flying to Amsterdam, and today the moon has revisited this point. So there was something about the sense of community that was also then, also here now. Thank you. I talked a lot about 1997, 1998, and that's the time when Neptune ingressed. Now Pluto is at this point, and Venus was joining him, and now I almost forgot that Venus ingressed to Aquarius, because Venus is meeting Pluto, and it's Venus-Pluto synodic cycle that grabbed my attention more so than Venus is in Aquarius, which means that we can appreciate connectivity about the people. Aquarius is a lot about the people that to other people may seem a bit cuckoo, but when you sit and talk to these people, you understand that they know more about the world because they are exposed to what is outside of the frame. So they have another perspective. And I was sitting today at the airport. I felt so lucky to do this at the airport, not at hospital, because now so many people, they don't know what's happening and they would want help, and the long lines for hospitals. as a veteran of some of that, I could see people are going to call in for way more hospitals. Then they're going to make hospitals the city centers. Already they kidnapped people. In Holon city, in Petah Tikva city. This is, and this is not nice. I was watching Ichi Boots, and she went to Iraq today, and people said, well, be careful because Syria has offed Assad. So I heard Israel was attacking for the border to make sure the border is staying, and I addressed this morning. Very challenging for people of Syria. It is not that Assad was, we had problems, right? There was a reason why people rebelled. But for minorities, it's very risky. Let's begin to put some grounding, actually. And let's begin with a little bit of mint. You usually don't do that before sleep because mint can give you some vivid dreams. But I try. I'm not going to sleep right now, but just remember, mint can give you vivid dreams, and they can be nightmares. So, powerful smell. Tea here, geranium tea. Get a bit of coziness. When I addressed the fact that a lot of our psychiatrists, psychologists are in cults, in a group of post-trauma, I felt something was like feeling really bad about this, but also can be sexually assaulted, right? And I saw a video about Opus Dei. Apparently, they have been fumbling with psychiatry. So somebody in the comment wrote, Opus Dei have been too much psychiatry. Scientology, too little psychiatry. It's difficult to find a cult that is good with a psychiatry balance. I said, well, housing first and to believe the patient. That's important, is key factor. People, when they ask themselves, should I hospitalize, should I this, should I that? Not at this time. Not at it. If there is a world war, hospital is not well, it's also full, but it's also not a welcoming place. And so it's good to know about this thing. I heard some comments of people with spiritual community that they talk about it's like a test. We have a test before this, before that. Darling, you have no test. There's military operation, something of MK Ultra, and they do astral rape, and they do electric shocks from afar, and they try to transmit the MK Ultra from afar. It's not for nothing. Then in 2007, when I was chatting with some musician that was also called affiliated, but you don't see that. You just don't understand what is happening to you, why communication is so weird. It was veterans that began to write, and the veterans understood me to say, you describe exactly how I feel. I knew nothing of MK Ultra, but I want to say big thank you to the veterans that have been undergoing MK Ultra. Whether it's Cold War, whether it's... first of all, because of you, I learned about this thing called PTSD. And you are the ones who paved the path to acknowledge that PTSD does exist. That even if a person was not physically wounded, psychology is a thing. It is cult-like sciences indeed, but it is cult-like in the sense that it's coming from the cult. So, by the way, when they reached to my next ex-bestie, he would feel energy very closely. So when they would attack him strongly, he felt the energy. And he said he began to feel, to learn how to coerce someone for like Chinese. He said he wants to study Chinese medicine in China just for the sake of it. And he was initiated, I guess, to course people. Also, he was doing a PhD. So you understand how to recruit him. And they never tell a person. People think that people consent, make deal with the devil. This is so 73, 63. They work differently now. They try to do like a person says they're consenting, but they never consented. So you have to remember, you don't consent, you never consented. Consent is something just informed consent, just willing consent. And in general, to torture you and get you to sign things is not consent. So, because MK Ultra is now from afar as well, and most people experience it from afar, so it might be difficult to bridge that with people who went through it physically, because they were physically tortured and then mind controlled from afar. Let's get the spirit and matter thing. Let's get something, okay? Try to avoid comparing traumas. Okay, veteran from dealing with that with PTSD and CPTSD. Try to avoid comparing traumas, because I give you a story. I met a woman that she was raped, beaten, and psychologically abused. And she said the psychological abuse was the worst for her. Naturally, another person would say otherwise. So we don't compare traumas. And also there is psychic abuse, like a psychic attack. I'm glad there is more conversation about this now. It's unfortunate that it had to be like this, that worldwide you hear people say there is spiritual warfare. Because I walked for a decade and a half with no help. No psychologists know what it is. But you also have to understand, because this is what it is, and it's government, or global government, and you can say, oh, the people in the government, they grew up into this. So, okay, it's a little bit of, not initiation, but it's kind of like, this is what it is right now. And the people that you want to point the finger of blame, they grew up into this. So and when they try to heal, there's no, they create like a world, there's no accessible healing. Just like they silenced the war veterans, atomic veterans, for example, they silenced them for 50 years. They could not even talk to each other, so they could not heal. So God forbid they wouldn't speak or say what they know. But still, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but not all the people all the time. Now is the time where they try to fool all the people all the time. And if you have been observant, you may have caught it at Maui. For me, when 7 October arrived, I knew that we are Maui. Nova Navu Maui. Kela David. Laser. I even saw investment technique that the acronyms were laser. Needless to say, so I won't say. And some of you caught it even at Ukraine. Some of you caught it 7 October. I don't know about Congo, but I see African videos with MK Ultra symbolism. And all the people, they say, what do you do for a living? I glow. Look, even the cow poop here is antiseptic. From the get-go, I said, you have to keep your land like this because people are eyeing your land. It's not for the first time in history, right? You got clear soil, clear water. Look how beautiful Africa. Unfortunately, it's MK Ultra. So, yeah. Now I'm enjoying some rose and, oh, I forgot how this is called. Elemi. A rose elemi butter. It is so dense that I have to scratch it. And it's together with the mint. So rose elemi and mint. Very pleasant. Now, for those of you who have been in the body, it's a bit tricky because all kinds of tricks are done right now. Then that may be a bit more facilitated. Sense of smell. A lot of the double agents symbolism, what you see like the peace sign. There is a sense of collective, I have to admit. There's a sense of collective here. A collective is going through this. You may feel also support within this. And there is support within this. If you ask for spiritual answers, so the person I met today has prophetic abilities, and according to his point of view, now many souls that didn't want to come here, and it's maybe last life of them on earth. So if you find this valuable, I'm not making an opinion, is it correct, not correct, I'm just bringing this information to you. So if you find it useful to you, use it. If not, forget about this. And I remember channeling I got where I ask why people do for the light, for the dark, most horrible things and best things altogether, because they want to not come back here. I'm not saying it helps. I don't necessarily think it helps. Um, but it's also for when people bifurcate, when they're tortured, it is very challenging to keep kidney the love buffer. For when you feel for the malefic things, it's important to speak up, to inform, to share awareness. You see, when you say something like, did you know that most of psychologists, psychiatrists are friends in these cults, and they also do these things? Now is more awareness that dumb fuckery of playing the two, playing both parts, okay, the savior and the perpetrator. Yes, it doesn't work. And it's not about playing only one part. It's about abolishing the perpetrators. Okay? We're going from trauma bond to safe connection on a collective level. And the thing is that the people that are doing this, they never had safe connection. So when they behave not good, you begin to share awareness or go on groups or Aquarius' community. Share the information. Okay, good community work is sharing information. And maybe some of you will have podcasts, more activism. You see, at the time where the resistance, there would always be a newspaper, something written. I think Aquarius transits were also a time of the encyclopedist. If you think about the Wikipedia as a very Aquarian project, open source, going from the personal to the collective, understanding that whoever attacks you, they have handlers, and they have handlers, and they have handlers, and they have handlers, and they have handlers. Okay, and so much work is done. So, and going from a personal to the collective can also facilitate in understanding things, because sometimes it's the same thing, but on one person you understand it more, on another not. It is because of astrology, the engineering of how you meet with the stars, what this natal chart means, this natal chart, or the cultures or whatnot. You have some more harmonious encounters, and there are some transits, more harmonious encounters, and some less. So you begin to conclude from one encounter to another of a general structure, the general phenomena. Just like algorithm. Now I get exhausted. Mint makes you aware if you're exhausted as well. Finland is very Aquarian. United States has the moon on Aquarius. You might be wanting to work with Aquarian archetypes. Saturn in Pisces can also be espionage, so drugs, espionage, programming. Pharmaceutical, drugs, espionage, programming. Global Health Organization. Yes. But also global cults to do with that. And you know this conflict of interest. You need to know your rights. So all of that is based on the hoax. How much can we fool society? None of it is valid. Use of real estate to prohibited medical experiments in people, or human trafficking, kidnappings, is naturally not allowed. Whether it is, even if it is jails and hospitals. Oh, this person I met today in US, there was a time where he was in psych ward, and there was a time where he was in prison. His job in prison was to put fluoride and other toxins in the water. And then he got wounded in the head, and they made him resign. He nearly died with his. Also, when you talk about rehabilitation, don't be fooled. If you are the type of person where you need a little nudge, you begin to do something, then you enjoy it, then it's case sensitive. Okay, some people are like this. I had a friend like this. He would get depressed. Then I say, when you go out, you don't like it, but then you enjoy. And we would go do this. Some people are like that. But it's not all across the board. Nobody has right to force you if it doesn't help you. Okay, you're going to do what you want to do. Is your sovereignty is the cure. So this is important to remember, especially when it comes to structures like jail, right? So it's hospital or jail. It's the time in history when they see them bombing cities, they're building ghettos. Netherlands, bombing houses, it means they will be building ghettos. Because a lot of people say, I need hospital, I need this, I need medical care, I need this, I need that. And I said, no problem, we give you all medical care, we build new hospital, emergency hospital. You're not going to get medical care. And for others, jail. So know your rights. Nobody has right to put you in jail if you, let's say, need food. You stole food from supermarket, from this, from that. Nobody has right to put you in jail. It's illegal. Depriving you of housing and food is illegal. And this is important. I like this geranium tea with some wormwood. If you are asking yourself, is it time to compare? Well, the time to compare was at least 3 to 5 years ago. That is the depopulation thingy. Now here is the difference between Aquarius 12th house to Capricorn 12th house. For Capricorn 12th house, people would say, doubt the government, doubt this, I saw, God showed me bad things come from humanity and so on. For Aquarius, This is MK Ultra. It is a military operation. Okay? Yes, disobey that. Yes, they build concentration camps in the cities. And this is the spirit of the time. Naturally disobey. We are the times that you think that we are. You're not imagining, you're not psychotic. But there is a sense of collective. I remember when I was singing Pluto entering Aquarius, I think 1919, but I saw in 1919, I meant November 19, but what I saw was 1919, they sent Adolf Hitler for espionage on a party or movement, right-wing work movement called DAP. It was green. And this affected him very much. And then he would create Nazi movement. So I saw this today. I think a lot of people are aware of cults now. The many curses they had, the many this, the many that. In 2017, a lot of people began to be aware of cults, but it was more like Charles Manson, those things, Scientology a little bit. Now, again, we have this conversation. Now it's that time in history. So I'm very grateful for the things I do have. And this is not from not knowing. Of course, I'm deserving of love, of traveling the world in a safe way, in a joyous way, of living a good life. I'm deserving of it all. And so are you. Yes. And I'm also grateful for what I do have. It's both. It's holding both the awareness that I'm deserving of things, and society has to adjust the structure to fit the individual. If you know this, you're not compliant. That's the power of Aquarius. We are at the power where We go through the same timeline of the Holocaust. And Holocaust, mind you, everybody was Jew. Even in America, even in Congo, even in this, even in that. They got everywhere. So, but with Pluto and Aquarius, it's a different thing. Because there's first of all a sense of global community. Second, China. You think what is more scary, Hitler or China? I say let's not compare traumas. Did you know that Bill Clinton apologized for MK Ultra and for cloning people? In 1995, the year Yitzhak Rabin was murdered. And my grandfather died. Now you see, with Aquarius, it's the individual saying, enough me adapting to society, enough. Now society adapts itself to me. Your workforce, I'm sorry, if your workforce was working, we wouldn't be here right now. Your workforce has to adapt itself to me. I want you to think everybody like you are young painter Hitler. But young painter Hitler that knows that he paints good paintings. Maybe not with the spirit of the time, because they want you to think about decomposed bodies all over and radiation with the skies, yellow sun. Now it looks wonderful and psychedelic. Oh, I need to talk about fungi and those things, because the psychedelic fungi, I never did the psychedelics, but the fungi and the alternation of the brain depend, you have to have discernment. Some things can heal trauma, but some things, yeah, Bachelor is excellent for that, can create trauma. Okay, this is, Aquarius reminds us that we need discernment, and with foraging fungi, which I told you this morning is way too early in the morning, with foraging, even experts, as I know since a child, even experts can get it wrong. And wrong can mean death. And poison is not always quick. Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. This is not Venus sign, it's not Jupiter sign, it's Saturn. So, young Adolf Hitler, he painted houses by the lake. I want you all to imagine yourself to be young Adolf Hitler, not a Nazi, not the guy that was inspired by Arbeit frei, not a double agent, not even the homeless. The young painter. And remember that you're deserving of good housing, compatible with the claustrophobia and the agoraphobia. You see, one of the worst orchestrating any world order that wants to enslave people could do is incarnate me into the spirit of the times. Aquarius is also a fixed sign. So you're going to hear me talking about nervous system supportive housing that's compatible for claustrophobia and agoraphobia. A lot. It's the cure for schizophrenia. That and to believe the patient. Housing first. That's what they did in Finland. They solved homelessness problem. And also schizophrenia problem. At first they castrated people. Yes, they did horrible things. Yes, they still do. Open dialogue invented it. Netherlands. What does it mean? Believe patient. Why didn't they practice this with Hadza Madma? To this day, I don't know. You see, I am the one that will tell a person who may be considered clone. It's all MK Ultra. We need ga weg with this MK Ultra. And at the same time, right on my page, I had a conversation with Trudy, who is exposing all the clones. If you think about the glitch in the matrix, I said what I said in the new moon on the axis of 2030 in Sag. I said the small problems become big and the big problems become small. I am a problem right now that becomes very big. I remind you that Nova is Nava. I also remind you, don't say Rutte. Say Tweede Kamer. I don't say Rutte. NATO is the North Atlantic Alliance with all of Europe, some Africa, Jordan now. Syria, I think, is succumbing to NATO. There was a group that changed it now, its name to Succumbing, Syria Succumbs to NATO. When MK Ultra reaches here, I'm like, Americans, I'm humbled. Israeli meets MK Ultra. When Pluto strikes 5th house for Israel, it was like, first thing I visited Soroka Hospital. Guys, you're not gonna believe it. This is the nephrology. This is the things where they have a stroke in the brain. This is the children with the Saban. Here they kidnap. Here after the V, you get here. Now, the thing about Aquarius, with having 12th house Aquarius, what's that? Edible? Yes, thank you. Almonds. To think about having 12th house Aquarius. Aquarius, anything you have in Aquarius, you know this. They say, go here. If you go exactly 180 from when they went, it's fantastic for Holocaust. Holocaust timeline, fantastic. Go to ghetto, kaput al gol. Stand in line, fuck you. Everybody dissolve for this, dissolve for this. Fuck that, no. That's your Aquarius placement. Now, it's the lovely thing about it, the more you try to contract Aquarius, the more it expands. You may have heard about a planet called Uranus. Not your anus, this is Pluto. We talked about this. Uranus is a planet where you can't control Uranus. You can control weather, but it's going to backfire as well. Uranus, the more you try to control, the more it backfires. My natal Uranus is in the 10th house. The more people try to frame me and control my image or how I'm seen in the world, the less successful they are. To put it very simply. But this also means that the more they try to put me in certain spaces, the more that becomes a little bit of a Wuhan. You see, they try to contract me in an apartment for whatever. I made the opposite exactly of everything. The more they try to scare me, I made the opposite exactly. The more they try to use anything to control me, I made the opposite exactly. This is Aquarius. Every one of you have Aquarius somewhere. They tried, during the Me Too, when I spoke about the cult. So there is a huge kidnap, put in hospital. I speak with the guy. He says, you look 200. I say, thank you very much. He said, no, you're young, so. And this man, he was kidnapped to hospital as a child. I was saved. That's the difference between us. Later I learned about open dialogue. And so all the people inside there, they're not imagining. And what they give them, we had the chemist that split in a circle long, the one that they take the XZB. Okay, we're not supposed to cut. She said, I'm chemist. I said, why do you do that? He said, well, it's the side effect I cannot with them. It's not the side effect. The side effect is the meaning of why they give it to you. And she tried to take it again. I saw a woman that did not have ability to poop. She was crying for hospital. So the minute her family came, I said, please, make sure to take her to hospital. I had to fight with the psychiatrist because it was from the pills. And she was a woman that was tending to a lot of survivors of sexual offenses in her life. The family told me. And that hospital was the best hospital in Israel. It was the crème de la crème of Israel, and it was open, it's not closed. And I began to hug trees because I'm already in a crazy house. Then why not hug a tree? Who's gonna judge me here? And then I began to hug trees outside. Because if you learn to do this in hospital and then you get out, then what get you out, you don't argue with that, you step on soil, Thank you. You do yoga in public places and you explore for your freedom. When Saturn was in my 12th house, is what got me. You begin to move your body or to dance, to this, to that. Everybody that tries to regulate your movement, you say very kindly, fuck you, regulate your own nervous system, begin to move around. It's good for your nervous system to move around. They tell you these are the rules. They say any rules that oppress my health are illegal. And is crime against humanity. You will be held accountable. Punishment for crime against humanity is death penalty. Very likely these days say, oh, okay, but there. You say, okay, don't do it next to, don't bother people on purpose. There's a nice song by Reinhard May that says, Sei wachsam, be awakened. Use your freedom, so your freedom was not using you. When freedom using you, people become sex addicted or addicted to torture. When you use freedom, then it is torture for those who try to cause you harm. Now, the people that are double agent, they are Holocaust survivors. With one exception, that survivor usually means that the Holocaust is over. They were the experiment. If you go about your day and what they say sounds remote to you, then my humble suggestion, begin to look around you. Because you might be out of touch with reality. There's a difference between dissociation and say another story about this person that I met. Well, I put some eucalyptus. And with this person that I met, he was driving with a person from Illuminati. And that person asked him, do you want to work for the Mossad? He said, no, I work for God. Another answer would be, I do not consent. If you want not to be before Twitter became X and everybody shadow banned, including double agents, by the way. It's very inclusive. Then, well, many people with Illuminati in our DM, we laughed about this. If you didn't join Illuminati, you were shadow banned. But even if you did, you were shadow banned. I know some MKs shadow banned. Now this is the time in history where everybody be looking for to persecute who is with the cult. You know that the first people that they mark is smear campaign. Now it's different when you say I went to a therapist and some stuff like that, but what they try to do smear campaign, that person, the patient, is from the Mason. The patient, if they go to therapy, they're not from the Mason. They want to get out. And they want to get out, either family from the Mason or the workplace, somebody from the Mason, which was in my case. I was not Mason, but the workplace. And then a psychologist from the Mason. I wonder what is this enlightenment? Enlightenment. That's the Mason. Yes. So I'm going to eat my almonds. So I'm going to turn it off so you won't have weird noises. Maybe some people find it ASMR, but I'm going to eat my almonds quietly. It's nice when I think about the oils on my toenails. Let's see what they will denucleify.